I think a lot of us have had this experience now where we're trying to sell rodeo equipment or horse or something online, and we're using Facebook Marketplace or one of the other sites that are available to us. We show up, we've driven an hour to meet somebody, and they're not there, and they don't show up, and they don't answer, or they block you, and you can't even get a message to them anymore. And it costs money, and it's frustrating. I'm Scott Hilgendorf with Cowboys of the Cross, and this is the short go. What we're going to look at is what Jesus has to say about oaths and keeping promises. This is from Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 to 37. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn. But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say simply be yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. So what Jesus is telling us is something pretty simple, but he was dealing with a cultural issue at that time where people would swear by God that they were going to do something as if by adding that extra layer, that oath, that their word might mean something more, or they're more likely to keep their word. But what Jesus is saying is you don't swear an oath. Don't swear to God you're going to do something. Let your word be your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you can't do it, then say, no, I can't. Don't make a false promise. Don't make an offer to do something that you're not going to be able to live up to or you're going to back out of later. But instead, when you say you can do something, then really do it. So let your yes be yes, your no be no. And one of the reasons that this is so important is for us as Christians, we see it now in our culture, how often we get called hypocrites. And I had a conversation literally with somebody today that I was selling something to on Facebook Marketplace, and everything went fine. The meeting was good and everything was there. But what happened in that conversation is we were just talking a little bit about faith. He's a non-believer and was dealing with another non-believer, and they were talking about Christians and how much of hypocrites they are. And that's something that we see in our culture, is that every time we mess up, people don't understand that just because we are Christians and believe something different and believe God's word, that we're able to live up with it perfectly and that we're going to make mistakes. And so we have a culture where as Christians, it's easier for us to forgive someone else of their mistakes. But for non-believers, we're going to be held to a different standard. So this is where being able to keep our word really kicks in, because we want people, especially non-believers, to be able to trust us. Of course, we don't want anyone to have to forgive us for not living up to what we said we were going to do. But we want the world around us to know that if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And the reason then is because they trust us. They trust our word. If we say something and they can trust our word, then they believe us. And if they believe us, we can tell them about the Bible and we can tell them about Jesus Christ. It's hard to share the gospel with people if they don't think they can trust us. So when we keep our word, we build trust and we build a relationship with them that lets us share the gospel. And then they can at least trust that what we're saying is true from our hearts, that this is something we believe, there's something behind it, and it's something they might give more consideration to. So it's so important then that our word, not just because of the inconvenience that it can be for others, the cost it can be to others. I depend on fundraising. And so it's very difficult each year when I go through the fundraising process to keep the ministry going, where people will make a promise to you that they're going to support the mission. And then when it comes time for the donation to be sent in, it's not sent in. It creates a hardship because now you're scrambling to try to raise the rest of that support to keep going for the year. There's a lot of implications to us not keeping our word that we don't necessarily think about in terms of how it affects the other person. But the thing that it affects most importantly, like I said, is our integrity. We need our word to be our word, our yes to be yes, our no to be no, so that people can trust us, so that we can tell them about Jesus Christ and they can trust that too. I'm Scott Hilgendorf, Cowboys of the Cross, cowboyscross.com. We've got all kinds of teaching there every other week, every other Thursday. We put new stuff there for you. Hope you'll check it out. And we hope these short go videos are helping teach and encourage you.